Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Narrative Pre-Show, and it is the Halo World Championships Pre-Show. The last event of the year is here. The biggest event of the year is just around the corner, just in about a few days' time, it feels like now. Andy, firstly, welcome back. It's great to be back. We've just come off the back of SLC, and we are set up perfectly for the Halo World Championships.
We really are. Could not be more excited. If you caught it on the debrief, we are so excited. The competition has never been closer. Things have never been harder to predict. And we're back in Seattle, and it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, Seattle is the home of Halo now. We had the Halo World Championships there for a number of years, and it never disappoints. I always feel like it is the big occasion. It is the special occasion, not just for us, not just for the fans, but for the players and the teams as well. We have the biggest prize pool of the year. All that good stuff always builds to the Halo World Championships. And I mean, the event itself, there's so much to do as well. We should quickly talk about the event itself, right? Because it's not just the Halo. It is a celebration of Halo, it feels like. Not just the competitive side, but obviously having the 343 studio in Seattle, all of the staff there that come along and watch it. It really is a big occasion.
It really is. And to be honest, we're quite jealous that we can't do all the stuff that's at the event. I already know there are deep dives with devs on like Halo 2 stuff, which obviously you and I are both so into. There's, of course, the cosplay contest. There's going to be the community stage. There's going to be cannon fodder live. I think community play dates. Tons of stuff, essentially, that you and I, rightfully so, are focused on the tournament. We never get to take part in them, but if you're attending in person, you will get to be at all these community stages and check out everything else going on. By the way, side tournaments as well.
Loads of side tournaments.
So tons of stuff going on, of course, at the World Championships. But today's show format's going to be a bit different. We're essentially going to just dive straight into details, teams, players, matches, and of course, pools, eventually predictions. But the pre-show for the World Championship, I think rightfully so, is going to be a bit of a different show.
Yeah, 100%. And before we get into all of that, just a reminder, if you want to hear what we said, had some thoughts about SLC and everything that went down, the debrief is live on the channel, so check that out. We'll put a link in the description below. You'll probably put a link in the description below to get our thoughts on that, because we're going to look ahead in this show. We're going to really kind of deep dive into some of these pools, into the teams, because we need to. It's the biggest event of the year, right? So should we get into it? Should we get straight into pools? Because pools is more exciting than it's ever been. We learned that in SLC, but this time around, when we're looking at these pools, we've been looking at some of them, and we're like, there's some big matches.
Big matches.
Day one, huge matches that will decide placings when it comes to the end of it. So you want to jump into Pool A?
Yeah, let's start with Pool A. You and I are really excited about this one. It's SSG, ITB, Pure, and Mindfreak. And just to give everyone a rundown of how this will go, we're going to go through each pool, the teams in it, our expectations on matchups, players, and also, most importantly, maybe a kind of a match to watch within the pool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some of the craziest Halo we've ever seen. And I think we'll start off by, we've got to mention SSG in Pool A. Understandably, 3 out of 4 events won this year. The big one is Worlds, and it will be undoubtedly the year of Space Station Gaming if they managed to bring it home. Yeah. So that's kind of where the main focus is on Pool A. We would expect them to win the pool, of course. But, I mean, go through some of the results from these teams matching up so far this season, because we have seen some matchups in these teams, and SSG, no surprise, have been pretty strong in those matchups.
They really have. Of course, SSG versus ITB was a clean 3-0 in Salt Lake City. Also, we have Pure playing against ITB. That was a 3-1 both times in Atlanta. So we'll keep an eye on that. I will say ITB's result against Pure, the second time they matched up, was much closer. Our match to watch in this series is ITB versus Pure, specifically because I think we're expecting SSG to run away with things, and it's a race for second place.
Yeah, I would agree with you. However, I will say that Pure maybe will have something to say about that in that series. It's not going to be an easy series for SSG. And the reason that I say that, yes, SLC was disappointed for Pure, but they just won the Cloud9 tournament we just saw online. Yes, it's online, but it gives us an indication, of course, of how teams are playing, and looked very good in that. Mm-hmm. But ITB versus Pure, we talk about brackets, we talk about Pure pools and how it's going to influence final results. If you get second in this bracket, think of the teams you're going to be avoiding. That's what you got to keep in mind when we go through these pools and brackets. And for ITB versus Pure, they will know that this should be Mindfreak dependent, of course, and how well they play, a battle for second place. And that means going into the winner's side of the bracket. And from there, you got 2 shots. Yeah. You can drop down to them. You have another chance at redemption and going on a run. Where's your head at with this one? Because I will kind of preface this by saying Pure didn't maybe look as great as they had back in Atlanta, and it showed, right, in Salt Lake City, but they bounced back in the online tournament. They win that, beating the likes of Optic, SSG, FaZe, who all played in that tournament. Yeah. For ITB, I feel like they played their best Halo of the year in Salt Lake City and got top 8. They went Game 5 with Sentinels. They won that one. They went Game 5 with FaZe. They lost that one. And then they had to play SSG. So that's a pretty tough run. It's a pretty tough run for ITB, but they look great in all of those series. So where's your head at with this? Where's your kind of gut feeling when it comes to this series?
Yeah, I'm of two minds. First off, if we just take the most recent results, I think it's ITB takes it over Pure without a doubt. If we look at the ceiling that both of them could be at, if they are firing at 110% in preparation for Worlds, I actually think Pure takes it. And I think it depends on what version you get of each team. What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You were pretty strong on the ITB.
If we just look at Salt Lake.
If you look at, that's fair. That's fair. They are going to be boot camping as well, ITB, so they're going to be fully prepared for it. Mm-hmm. And I think, let's talk about players to watch in this series. I'll start with ITB. Mm-hmm. I think Jim is the player to watch. Reason being, Jim is the glue that makes the team work. When Jim doesn't play well, ITB don't play well. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot hinges on his performance. If he can hover around 0 KD in a series, he's doing his job, and everyone else will benefit from that. He made some really big plays that we were casting back in SLC as well, in that Sentinel series, which won them games. Mm-hmm.
But also, not just big plays, right? These were highlight reel things.
Yes.
I had to grab Jim after and be like, dude, we were on your POV when you were doing that stuff in Cafe, when you were hitting the ridiculous equipment usage. And he just kind of laughed it off. But you could tell Jim was proud of what he had done in that series. So yeah, exciting to see if he could do it again.
What about Pure? Who's your player to watch on that one?
I think it has to be Last Shot, only because of the damage output he can hit when he is playing his best. So I think it, almost without even trying, makes him an X factor, right? I think he's so consistent no matter what, but because there's such a gap in what you might get out of him, it becomes an X factor type play.
It's an interesting one for me because I feel the same about Druck on that team. Yeah. I feel like Druck's got this like crazy high ceiling, but you can have those games where it's like he gets caught out.
Maybe lower lows and higher highs.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I feel both of those players, like we look at Jim and Druck.
Yeah.
It's that comparison, like whoever plays better out of those two,
could be
maybe the series goes that way. So that's a huge series to keep your eyes on in Pool A. Probably the biggest one. We mentioned that's a battle for second place. Should we move on to Pool B?
Let's do it.
Let's move on to Pool B.
Optic Gaming, Quadrant, Sentinels, and Ascending Baseline.
Ascend Baseline, Ascending, we're still not sure.
Tough to say between that.
It could be something different at Worlds.
Yeah. I think it's a similar story overall in terms of our match to watch. It's going to be Quadrant versus Sen, just because we expect Optic Gaming to, at the very least, be on World Championship form. That's going to bring a certain Optic Gaming that I think everyone's ready for. For me, I'm looking at Optic and Quadrant. Of course, they played in Salt Lake City pools. Somewhat close. It was a 3-1 Optic. I think you would need like a very special Quadrant to show up to Worlds, and for Optic to be very off for that series to be even that close again at World Championships. Also, we should remember, kind of just as you were alluding to, Quadrant 1 and 2 in Salt Lake City pools, only taking down Lethal Fox. Very, very bad pool play for them. They do have, I think it's important to note, they do have kind of one opportunity now to change the story of their year, but I feel like for Quadrant, you just get this impression that they haven't been performing this year. And I know we talked about it on previous pre-shows. I think they've run the risk of becoming a footnote. And at the very least, a very different Quadrant than the one we were talking about a year ago.
I agree. Also not boot camping for Worlds. So unfortunate for them, they won't be able to get out and get as much practice as some of the other teams. But I agree with you. I mean, for Quadrant, something feels off.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's behind the scenes. I don't know if it's players not getting on. But when you're watching the games, and even when you see like, how a team reacts after a loss or a win, doesn't feel like there's that togetherness that made Quadrant so special last year with the all-French lineup. Match to watch, Quadrant versus Sentinels.
Yep.
And probably how'd you predict that one? You know what I mean? Like with the highs and low lows of both teams so far this year, it's like two teams with just enormous potential that have never lived up to it.
Yeah.
We've heard these rumors, they can go on and get top win tournaments, and both of them just keep falling short, like wildly short. Players to watch? I think for Quadrant, it has to be SLG because he had a bad Salt Lake.
Yeah, I think
statistically.
Anyone from the Sentinel side for you that you're keeping a close eye on?
I would say Boo Boo. Again, still waiting for that big Boo Boo series.
Agree.
So for those two players, keep your eyes on them because, again, the success hinges on them.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's move on to Pool C. Shopify Rebellion, Native Gaming. Congratulations to them. Second seed in the pool.
Yep.
Cloud9 and Dark Inside.
Do we want to say outright right now that this is the pool of death? Or at least maybe pool of death is too heavy of a term. Do we want to say it is definitely the hardest pool to call?
I would agree.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
I think anyone could beat anyone in this. Shopify Rebellion maybe a tier above, you would say, the other teams, and understandably why. you would say that.
Right.
But
based on results, we should dive in.
Yeah, let's
do it. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about in this pool, which is a great place to be.
It's exciting.
It is, and to be honest, there's even, I would say, from top to bottom. So there's stuff that we're going to talk about with Shopify and the teams in this pool. There are things we're going to talk about with Native and C9, and even Dark Inside has a story in this pool, which we haven't had in Pool A and B yet. We've kind of taken the fourth seed in the pool, as is often the case, and not had a lot to say. For example, if you looked at Pool B, right, Sentinels most recently 3-0ing ascending baseline, unsurprisingly, and they kind of don't get the mention that we're going to see here. I think we have to start with Shopify versus C9 that we saw in Salt Lake City. In pools, those two played. It was a 50-49 Game 5
3-2
reverse sweep in the favor of Shopify. So that came dangerously close. We know that C9 continued to, do a lot of damage, but I want to contrast. Those two also met up in Atlanta, and it was I believe a 3-0 for Shopify. So a huge improvement with the Manny swap for Cloud9.
Yeah, I think Manny's been a huge addition, and obviously a huge addition. And it's one of those types of player that I love so much because you look at statistics a lot of the time if you're a fan of Halo and you're like, oh, this guy's playing well, this guy's not playing well. But what Manny does for that team is he enables everyone else to be comfortable and play their game. He will put down damage. He will be first in. He will be the player to create space. He's a very valuable commodity, and I think he's actually very underrated. And the results that C9 got, or almost got, I should say, in SLC showed his value to the team. A player like Suspector becomes a much better player with Manny on the team because he can play off his damage. The SSG series.
Right, we have to mention that again.
SSG series, the team who go on to win the event, 3-2 again. Game 5, arguably should have won that. You look back, they will look back on it and say they should have won it.
Yeah.
So that's how dangerous Cloud9 are. And we're talking about all these results. We're talking about all this great stuff. Seen a third seed in the pool.
Exactly.
Native Gaming are second seed in the pool. The first time they got into pools was SLC. They go on to get top 6 in SLC, their best result of the whole year. And they're starting to show a little bit of promise as well. So you can understand why we're talking about those two, but Dark Inside as well. There's a story here as well.
There really is. I think we should mention, Native played against Dark Inside in Salt Lake City pools as well. That was a 50-46 Game 5.
Yeah.
The fact that Dark Inside now has this opportunity for revenge against Native after only losing by 4 kills in game number 5 creates, I would say, the most interesting set of storylines. And match for match, this is going to be the hardest pool to call. And Shopify, I think, needs to realize, and I'm sure they already are, credit to them, it's not just about the Sunday scaries for them. They've got a pretty complicated pool, and they need to make sure that they are playing the best Halo they've ever played.
Yeah, they're going to be tested for sure. I mean, match to watch for us, the kind of keynote match, is going to be Shopify versus C9 because we mentioned it was a reverse sweep back in SLC. It was a 50-49 Game 5. And if Cloud9 beat Shopify, which is unlikely, but we can see it, very doable, that pool becomes wild.
Yeah.
That bracket then becomes wild because C9 could go on and win the whole thing. So Pool C could be the pool which not only gives us a few surprises, but changes the bracket and changes things for everyone else in the tournament as well. I could see Cloud9 coming second in this pool, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
If they do that,
of course,
that's going to be a tough first-round matchup for a team to play Cloud9.
That's what I
think
mean.
they're nasty.
That's why our match to watch is not just the second place match in that. It's not just Native C9, it's Shopify C9.
Let's talk players to watch in that series as well.
Okay.
Soul Snipe.
Yep.
Again, I'm kind of focusing on the players that I feel like are the glue of their team. And I feel like at the Halo World Championships, those kind of players, they earn their bread.
Yeah.
Because if Soul Snipe plays well, Shopify run teams over. For Shopify, I think that he's going to be a big, big reason for their success or disappointment at the Halo World Championships.
Yeah, for me, quickly on Shopify, I would say it's probably Cycle for me, just because Cycle feels like the type of player that when you're on someone's POV top mid on live fire and you see Cycle kind of back tower, all of a sudden you see 2 kills in the feed and you don't really know how it happened and it just happens off screen. And then that's when they run away with the lead in games. And I think he's that kind of player where you don't know exactly what he's doing, but when he's playing his best, he gets into the mess, into the thick of it, pulls out double kills and extra damage, and gives them huge opportunities to take space on the map.
Sneaky bastard.
He really is. And I think he's also the type of player where you think you've got him dead to rights, and all of a sudden he kind of just stays alive somehow, eventually baits out more damage, gets a back whack. Something like that is when Cycle's at his best, is opening space for the team on the map. I would say for C9, for me, it's Manny. It's like I said, it's really evidenced by getting 3-0'd by Shopify in Atlanta, And then if we look at SLC going to game 5, 50-49, I think that's the one, obviously, change on paper, and it showed. Anyone else from you on C9?
I think Manny's the right call. I think he's the difference maker. And like you say, the comparison between results, between events with him on the team shows his value. And I think he just needs to keep doing what he was doing. Yep. I love how we just talk about the Friday, by the way. This is the best bit about it, right? Yeah. This is how crazy it is. Pool D, final pool. FaZe, Complexity, Lethal Fox, and Alpha Esports.
A lot to talk about here as well. No one is concerned about FaZe and pools. It'll really come down to the matchups and the matches when they get to the bracket. I think we could just say that they will almost certainly 3-0. Whether it's a 9-1, whether it's a 9-2, they will just do that, and they will be okay. Complexity is where things get interesting in this pool.
I agree. Complexity get their best finish of the season. They get top 6. Mm-hmm. They obviously beat Optic Gaming in pool play. Maybe there's an asterisk by that because of Dead Zone's illness, but still got the job done.
Right.
Still showed they can play some really good Halo. And I think that Ranger's got a bit more Halo under his belt now, which is important. You know, when a player comes back, hasn't played the game for a while, has to get back into the swing of things. I think he's starting to look like Rain a little bit more, and certainly was back in SLC. They also 3-0'd Lethal Fox, who were in their pool. Some close games, but
interestingly closer games than you might expect.
Yeah,
but still a 3-0 over Lethal Fox, who of course is third seed in the pool.
Yeah, and then they 3-1 Alpha Esports in the winners bracket quarterfinal. Every game seems to be close, but when you're looking at results, 3-0, 3-1 over the two other teams that are in the pool,
right?
I would say Complexity should feel confident about coming out of that pool in second place.
They definitely should. Yeah.
Alpha Esports, they beat Sentinels back in SLC. To get second place in their pool. And I think they are a real shark in the water when it comes to this event.
I think so too. I think people have been counting out that squad, right? Regardless of what org they've been playing under, I think they've been slowly and kind of quietly getting better and better. And I think they like to be not too talked about. I think they love to just kind of pop onto the scene and let the results do the talking. And they're starting to do that now. And it's a perfect time to do it.
I think one thing that's interesting for Alpha Esports as well is I feel like it's life after tapping buttons now. And I feel like they're really starting to come together as a squad and also feel confident in each other and are there to cause some problems.
Right.
So I think for Alpha Esports, very, very dangerous.
Probably the best fourth seed that we have. I mean, Dark Inside, certainly good. I guess you could put that a toss-up between Alpha Esports and Dark Inside. It really should be a question of Lethal Fox versus Alpha Esports to see who gets out.
I agree. And we have to kind of highlight as well that if Complexity aren't playing their best Halo, they could get dragged into that.
Yeah.
And you could have a 3-way battle for elimination.
Yeah.
Essentially on the first day, which is wild to talk about. You know, if Complexity don't play the Halo that they played back in SLC and Alpha Esports and Lethal Fox come out firing, Complexity could be out.
I think they
they got to be so wary of that.
Someone might argue that Complexity probably isn't going to get out, but I think, as you said, they need to make sure they don't get dragged into it because they certainly don't want to place third and go straight into the elimination bracket.
It's a fun pool to watch, maybe not just for who's going to go through in the bracket and how the bracket's going to shake out, but who just survives.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the group that's about survival. I want to very quickly, by the way, talk about FaZe. Are you worried about FaZe, honestly?
Not to spoil my predictions for later, but I am not worried about FaZe.
Okay. I'll wait for your predictions then. We can talk about that a little bit later. So we talked about pools. We talked about some of the matchups we're very excited to see and what teams we're excited to watch as well. And we also managed to catch up with Legend from SSG, the man who's won 3 out of 4 events this year, to see what his hopes and expectations are for the Halo World Championships. Firstly, thank you for joining us, buddy. It's been a great season for you so far.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a really good season for me. First tournament I played with SSG, we won. So I feel like that's pretty insane, considering I've never played with them before. London was pretty disappointing, but I feel like it could have been a bit worse. We almost lost to Quadrant, so that would have been really, really bad loss. SLC was insane, obviously. We almost got top 12. We're 2 kills away from getting top 12.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because we kind of saw it from a third person point of view, that game 5. And we see bound bottom middle. He's no shields, and I think he said something like, "I'm dead." What actually happened in the comms? What happened in that moment? Because it must have been quite hectic.
So he was bottom in one shot, and then he said, I'm dead," and I was yeah. In my head, I was thinking we fucking lost, but somehow he lived, and then we get the camo, and then I don't know, we just get 3 kills in a row. It was pretty insane. But the fact that he lived bottom mid is
I don't know how
I don't know how we did that. But he also got 21 kills so in the game. So like I feel like people don't talk enough about that, but like 21 kills in a game 5, I think it's insane.
It's pretty crazy. It's almost like the 21 kills was as important as the one not death.
Yeah.
Moment. Let's talk a little bit about Halo WC, because that's the one that's coming up, the Halo World Championships, the biggest event of the year. And how does Worlds feel different in comparison to other tournaments? Like even the tournaments we've had so far this season, because we've had some pretty crazy tournaments so far this year.
Yeah.
But Worlds has this special thing about it. Do you feel it as a team and as a player that everybody else you're playing against is like, it's the best they can possibly play at this point? It's like it's the World Championships. They've had all this practice. The teams haven't changed much this year as well, so you kind of know what to expect from players. How does it differ for you guys in preparation and kind of how you view the tournament?
So in my head, like every major that we play is like practice for the World Championship, like for the big one. So everything, I mean, we won like 3 of the 4 majors, but like if we lose like Worlds, like it's not gonna matter. Like people are gonna remember about the World Champions, not like the major champions. So it will be pretty disappointing to lose, considering like I think we're the favorites going into this one.
And let's talk a little bit about Worlds, because it's all you said. I mean, you predicted yourself as the favorites, and I'm not going to ask you to predict yourself outside of the top 1, because that would be weird. To be honest with you. But let's go. Let's predict your top 4 for Worlds, because Andy and I have been having some good discussions about this. Start from 4th, or actually start from the final. Who do you think you're going to play in the final?
I mean, it's gonna be Optic or FaZe, I think.
No, you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one. Come on.
Oh, I gotta pick one?
Optic or FaZe.
I mean, considering how the season went, I feel like the finals that would make the most sense would be like Optic against us, like SSG.
Mm-hmm. And then FaZe third, then in that case.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Shopify, like Shopify or FaZe in the top 4.
Okay, so that's your top 4. I won't pressure you anymore on that. But thank you for joining us again, buddy.
No problem.
Best of luck for Worlds. Honestly, we'll catch up at the event, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, right. Let's talk about food. It's a very abrupt switch up here, but you know Seattle very well.
I do.
I feel like I know Seattle fairly well.
Pretty well now.
I've been there enough.
Yeah.
Come on. Give me your recommendations. By the way, the recommendations are starting to hit now. Have you noticed the amount of people that came up in SLC and were like,
actually, that's true.
Dude, what was it called? Something bird chicken?
Pretty
bird chicken?
Yeah, actually.
Pretty bird hot chicken. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
A lot of people were going, best fried chicken.
By the way,
it slaps.
They're kind of making the rounds. We got to go. Man, it was good. I would say I'll give 2 quick food spots that you can check out, as well as a whiskey spot. Just because the city has some very good.
When you said that, I was like, very
some
whiskey
very good food and drink, of course, in Seattle. The first one that I'll say, it's close to the market, is a place called Biscuit Bitch. It is very popular for a Monday morning play. All sorts of breakfast dishes with biscuits that you can imagine, whether it's biscuits and gravy, biscuit sandwiches. It is great. Feel free to make your way down, and not just on a Monday, but any day during the event if you have time. The next one I'm going to give is a favorite of Tashi and I, and it's a place called Barrio, amazing Mexican restaurant.
Oh, we've been there.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Really, really good.
It's a couple of years ago, right?
Really good.
Yeah.
Incredible beef birria quesadillas. That would be my recommendation there. And of course, also for whiskey, one of actually, if you peruse kind of top whiskey bar lists globally, Cannon is often on this list. Very, very well-known kind of bartender that owns it. Canon. One of the best whiskey bars, undoubtedly in the United States. A lot of people would say in the world.
And also, what's the cheese shop?
Beechers.
Where
we went last year.
Good cheese toasty.
Okay,
you need something on the go. It's actually
wait, this is the first food recommendation of the year from you.
And I'm recommending cheese toasties. Doesn't that say everything you need to know?
No.
But it is unreal, to be fair.
A Beecher's mac and cheese is no joke. Beecher's is just along the market. If you want to check it out, you can't miss it because they're just making vats of cheese before your eyes and cheese curds.
If you miss a shop full of cheese,
right,
it's on you. Okay, so that's food and drink.
Yep.
Done. Covered. Absolutely got you covered in Seattle. Let's talk predictions.
Let's do it. And also, you asked for top 4 in the SLC pre-show. You said you're going to try to get me to go top 4. Let's do top 4.
You want to go first?
Okay, I think we should go 4, 3, 2, 1, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we spoil it. In 4th place, I have Shopify Rebellion.
Okay, so make it to Sunday.
Yep.
Okay.
In third place, Optic Gaming.
They break the curse, I guess.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
Okay.
why. I think the competition that FaZe and SSG will bring to this tournament will be unbelievable. And I have Space Station Gaming placing second and FaZe winning the Halo World Championship.
Wow. Okay. Why?
I think I don't.
That's a pretty wild prediction based on what we've seen in recent times.
I don't disagree. I think that, as this will be no surprise, we've talked about this quite a bit, but I think when it comes to the Halo World Championship, I think that FaZe brings a different level. I think it also brings out a different level of focus that they may not be able to get to prior to Worlds. And I think that will happen again. I don't think that Optic is off of the pace that they were at in Salt Lake. I think they will still come out firing. I just think that SSG will be just as good, and I think FaZe will be the best we've seen them this year, and that's how I have that fallen. I know there's an extremely high chance that that is proven wrong. Curious what you think.
Very interested by the FaZe pick. I can see the logic, but I worry after their last two tournaments.
That's fair. That's fair.
Kind of giving a bit away now. I'll go. Okay. Fourth, Shopify Rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Respect.
That's where they place. Third, FaZe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they make the final.
Really?
I think they bring a different level.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be enough.
Okay. Just
Don't think it'll be enough.
not enough. Do you think that they're just being outpaced, or simply they are not the team they were?
I think they are confused about how they want to play the game.
Okay.
I feel like FaZe is such a team who relies on we know exactly what we are doing at all times.
Right.
Therefore, they don't have to think about what their teammates are doing because it's expected.
Mm-hmm.
Look at some of their objective games back at last two events.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kill everyone. They all go positive and they lose by 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do that. And like you can say it's easy to button up, but I think the problem for FaZe is if they get out to a lead, the bad habits come back because they're like, oh, we've won.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's like this real lack of discipline.
Yeah.
You look at Optic, you look at their discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lack of that on FaZe. And I think that they need to be able to find that. And I just haven't seen it. It's just like old habits creep in. And I just don't think they're going away. No one doubts their ability, their skill. Wouldn't surprise me if they won it. Like I say, wouldn't surprise me if they won it. But I think there's too many
It would surprise you, though, if they won it. Because I don't think you could say
you can't ever say that it'd be a surprise if FaZe won an event. They've already won one this year.
I don't know. After everything you just said, it feels like you would be a little bit surprised.
I don't expect it. I wouldn't be surprised. Because again, FaZe one of those teams who could come out and look like the greatest team in the world. Remember after London, we were like, who the fuck doubts FaZe? And then we were like, they look like the greatest team ever. They look like no one can beat them.
Right.
And then they shit the bed the next two events. Although last event they lost to Optic and SSG, but still, they still lost to Optic and SSG.
It's true. Only, though, lost to Optic and SSG.
So? Still lost to them.
Sure.
Anyway, so FaZe third. Don't get to a final.
Okay.
The grand finals will be Optic Gaming versus Space Station Gaming.
Uh-huh.
And I can see, for the first time this year, Space Station Gaming winning the Halo World Championships.
Wow. The bait. The bait.
That was good, right?
I
drew you in. You were in. I saw you lean forward.
You got me for a second. You got me for a second.
Now, the reason being, I think Optic have been fantastic all year, and I will give them a huge amount of credit because we've seen how tough it is to get. We keep talking about this chasing pack. We keep talking about competitiveness, and it's easy to look at the Optic season, and I see a lot of Optic fans being like, "Oh, it's been such a shit season." Like, "Oh, you've been in every single grand final this year. It has not been a shit season. You're missing one thing." And they've shown they can beat FaZe consistently. They've shown they can beat SSG. The problem is, I don't see Optic winning the majority of series against SSG. SSG, I think, if they get to a final, they win it. That's the thing for me. SSG need to get to the final. Mm-hmm. I know that's a very stupid thing to say, but you know what I'm saying. Like, they can't slip up in the bracket, go down to a limb, and then they play a FaZe, a Shopify. You know what I mean? They have to go through that gauntlet again. For Optic, I think that the issue for Optic when it comes to winning a world championship against a Space Station Gaming who are playing at their best is the individual ability to take over of 2 players on SSG. Stellar and Legend are on another level, I feel like, at the moment. And it's for different reasons. Stellar, I don't know what he's doing with that sniper rifle. And I'm not going to just talk about the sniper rifle as well, because it's just general confidence and play. It is, you can be perfect against SSG, and Stellar can put you 2 dead.
Oh, absolutely. And he will.
And it's like, there's nothing you can do. You know, like we watched that, I think it was against FaZe. He no-scopes one player, walks down cuts, sees a player in front of them. He's half shields, the player's full shields. He just takes the fight and no-scopes him. Doesn't run away. He doesn't try and live. He just shoots him in the face.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, FaZe are 2 dead and they've done nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's the game-changing ability that he has. And I think there's going to be a lot of focus on that sniper rifle in those series, like keeping it out of his hands and keeping it out of SSG's hands. The other one, I think, is the MVP candidate for the year, and it's Legend.
Yeah.
His rise is unbelievable. First event of the year, first time he's on SSG, they win it. Then he has a disappointment. Well, they all had a disappointment in London. Then they win back-to-back events, and you could make an argument that he was the best player at the event for both of them. No one in Halo at the moment, FaZe included, which is a crazy thing to say, has the end of game clutch factor like Legend does. Mm-hmm. If Legend loses a battle, you're like, wow, put that one in the scrapbook. But I just think he's MVP candidate for the year. And I think if SSG win the Halo World Championships, he's the best player in the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue. We should have everyone give their top 4.
Yes, in the comments below.
In the comments below. Curious, because I think we're going to have a different mix. I think a lot of people are going to undoubtedly put SSG there for very good reason. I think we're going to see an interesting mix, though, within that top 4. So let us know in the comments what you think.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I love reading through the comments and the predictions as well, because it's like, oh, I can see what you're thinking here. This is very interesting. And like how many don't match up, I think shows... Exactly. You know, obviously, there's some fandom in there. A lot of you have your favorite teams and want to see them succeed, but also shows how close it is. This could be one of the greatest Halo World Championships of all time.
This could be, this could be one of the best. Definitely, I think it will be one of the best Halo World Championships. It could, I think, even be one of the best Halo events of all time. And just think of how many, we've had some upsets in the World Championships before. This thing is ripe for some good spice.
And it's just around the corner, man. Like I feel like SOC was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm not going crazy. That's going to do it. I just want to quickly say, by the way, thank you. We hit 1,000 subscribers.
Yep.
Well done.
And also a huge thank you just to everyone for supporting the show for the year. This is the last pre-show of the year, of course, and it's been a really fun year to put this show together and have you guys joining us.
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed it. It has been a lot of fun. Like we say, it's just the discussions we have away from camera. We decided to put some cameras on and share them with the world. But yeah, we will see you in Seattle in few days' time.
Yep.
It's here. The Halo World Championships, the big iconic moment of the season is just around the corner. I can't wait. My predictions are going to be right. Yours are going to be wrong. Let us know in the comments below what you think is going to be, who is going to be champion, who's going to be the Halo World Champion. And from us, it's been a great year. We'll see you soon.